Oh, hello there. Yes, well, indeed, that last week of August thing. That impending sense of doom that I have because I'm going to have to go back to full-time teaching. Oh my God, all of those woke lefty Marxist anti-white lessons I'm going to have to do. Oh, yes, anyway, we'll come on to that in a moment. But, yesterday was the Notting Hill Carnival main day, and the usual right-wing commentariat decided to have a meltdown once again because unless there are exactly 0 arrests at Notting Hill, they will jump up and down and decry it, saying it has to be cancelled. Here's Alex Phillips on that particular one. The thing is that people never actually sort of suggest what the crime level is when there isn't the Notting Hill Carnival. I think it might be an idea just to do that, but that's just me being, a realist. The thing that gets me, of course, about this is, in terms of, particularly with Alex Phillips, is if you look at other events like Cheltenham Festival, for example, which is quite a sort of posh and white event, you do get quite a lot of arrests. I think a couple of years ago there was a body that was found in the water. Yes, and just for Alex's amusement, of course, knowing how keen she is on women being harassed, it seems to be a major problem that women there are harassed by people. I imagine that she won't mention that at all because, of course, the issue isn't the crime, is it? No, the issue is, something else. And everybody's favourite Geordie, gay Geordie, who works for GB News and sits on a stool, I know the Venn diagram's a circle, Darren Grimes, unfortunately had somebody come up on the street and say things to him this weekend. Here it is, just been threatened by this man twice. He told me if I talk about Islam again, he will make the streets unsafe for me, and only stop when I recorded him. Yes, it would be awful, wouldn't it, if these people had to somehow, live up to an outcome for what they actually talk about in some sense of consequences, because of course it's dreadful when nice young men like Darren have to actually face up to such things. I mean, Darren is a very, very anti-crime individual, of course. He's a very upstanding person, unless of course, it's people in masks committing violent acts against public property, in which case he's absolutely fine. I'm just guessing that the reason why he doesn't have a problem with crime against ULEZ cameras is because, the bloke what's in charge of them, what's associated with them, is a Muslim bloke. But it's really dreadful that Darren should have to answer to anybody about him being anti-Muslim. I don't see why anybody should ever have to put up with that kind of thing. Dreadful, dreadful, dreadful. Yes, which brings us on to the main meat of the day, one might say. Matt Goodwin, who is now making a living, once again, by providing a level of intellectual cover for, pretty much anybody that's prepared to pay him, really, in terms of racist ideas. Was writing about a piece in the Telegraph, link down below, you can read it for yourself, which is yet another one of these kind of, oh, isn't it dreadful what teachers are doing. And speaking as a teacher, I suppose it would be dreadful if we were actually doing it. Anyway, let's just have a look at this. UK teachers to challenge whiteness, inverted commas, quoted there in lessons. I said this would happen last year. The deeply divisive critical race theory is now going mainstream in UK schools. Yes, and except of course it isn't. And you can link down below. You can read this piece for yourself in there, whereby he does use lots of adjectives like shocking and disgusting and things like that. But what he's talking about here is something else entirely. I did notice that his good mate now, James Esses, another person who quite happy to tell you lies at something they've glanced at, a man who is qualified for nothing, let's not forget, actually had the audacity at the same time to write this: white boys eligible for free school meals are the group least likely to progress to university in the UK. These children, hammered with the rhetoric that they have white privilege or male privilege, have been left behind. Identity politics are toxic. And that's fine, James. But you and I both know that actually is a bit porky-ish, isn't it? Because, of course, that's always been the case with white working-class kids, certainly for about 40 years. And if you want to be really picky about the statistics, they aren't the least likely to go to university. That's Roma kids. But, again, that's just me knowing things. That's just me knowing things about reality, isn't it? Yes, anyway, Matt was definitely sort of taking a leaf out of James's book because... one of the great games you can play, you see, is you can get hold of material for teachers, not teaching materials. Going to make a very, very clear point of distinction there. Okay, and the piece in the Telegraph is about teachers being trained, and they're going to be trained in anti-racism. Now, I don't know about you, but I think it would be quite important for teachers not to be racist, in the same way as it's important for, teachers to have non-bigoted attitudes across the board to their pupils. You might think about some of the things that I've put up about people that don't seem to have a very positive attitude to their trans students who mysteriously end up being fired. It's the wokists. No, it's the person being a bigot that's the problem. So anyway, the Telegraph piece, of course, has cherry-picked various things, which again, Matt Goodwin has cherry-picked, and he says things like about the triangle of power and whiteness, which isn't going to be used in a lesson anywhere. Materials that are used to train teachers are designed to train teachers. They aren't necessarily things that are going to be used in the classroom. Sorry, but that's simply the way things are. Anyway, moving on. If you want to see more about this stuff in terms of the way that CRT isn't being used in British schools and the way that whiteness isn't problematised, then you can see some of my other videos. But quite frankly, I'm just bored with this now, okay? It's just a lie. That's all it is. It's the same lie, effectively, that comes out from all those other mouthpieces like Alex and Darren. It doesn't matter to them that they lie, unless... of course, unfortunately, if they come across somebody that's directly affected by it, in which case they are the victims. But I don't think they are. I think if you don't want people to come up to you in the street and accuse you of being a nasty bigot, then my advice would be to pass some laws to arrest the person that does that. There you go. There you go. Just to make the world safe for pampered white people like Darren. Perhaps one of the groups least likely to ever finish his university education. Ooh, yes, I did say that. Anyway, one of these days things will change, and poor old Darren will have to find some other way of being paid to be a racist. I think anybody can be paid to be a racist, but it would be nice if some of them did it on a bit more of an intellectual level rather than this absolute drivel that they pass across. Anyway, enough. Do have a lovely day. Enjoy the weather again. Yes, make the most of the end of summer. Enjoy.